In a quiet suburban neighborhood, a typical afternoon is shattered by the sound of screeching tires and a police siren. A black man, James, is walking down the street, minding his own business, when suddenly a cop car pulls up next to him. The officer, a man named Officer Carter, steps out and demands to know why James is on this street. James, caught off guard, tries to explain that he's just walking home from the corner store, but the officer doesn't seem to care. Officer Carter immediately accuses James of looking suspicious and demands he empty his pockets. James, feeling confused and scared, asks if he's being detained or if he's free to go. Officer Carter's face hardens, and before James can react, the officer slaps handcuffs on him and begins dragging him toward the patrol car. "You're under arrest for resisting arrest," the officer says coldly, a lie that makes James' blood boil. What was supposed to be a simple walk home has now escalated into a nightmare. This is not the first time James has faced this kind of treatment, but this time, he's not going to back down. He's determined to fight for his rights and demand justice, no matter what it takes. The tension in the air is thick. People gather, pulling out their phones to record, their faces a mix of concern and disbelief. James stands firm, knowing that the camera footage could be crucial in proving the officer's misconduct. It's a familiar story, one that has played out far too many times in this country: an innocent person wrongfully arrested, simply because of their race. But this time, something's different. James isn't going to let this go without a fight. As the officer pushes James into the back of the squad car, he feels the weight of years of injustice weighing on him. But deep down, a spark of hope ignites. He's not alone. There are people watching, people who care, and most importantly, James knows his rights. From the back of the car, he begins recording a video of his own, detailing the entire encounter. His voice shakes with anger, but there's also a sense of resolve. "This isn't right," James says, his words slow but steady. "But I'm going to fight for what's right." The plot thickens as James is taken to the station, where his phone is confiscated and he's booked for a crime he didn't commit. But instead of breaking him, the injustice becomes fuel for his determination. In the hours that follow, James' supporters rally friends, family, and even strangers from the community. They gather outside the station, demanding his release and calling for accountability. The pressure begins to mount. In a twist of fate, Officer Carter's own history begins to unravel. A local news outlet picks up the story, and the public demands answers. It's revealed that Officer Carter has a long history of complaints against him, many of which were ignored or covered up. This revelation sparks a chain of events. Surveillance footage from nearby businesses is released, showing that James did nothing wrong. He was simply a man walking down the street. The community rallies behind James, and the pressure on the police department intensifies. James, still in custody, feels a sense of justice inching closer. But the fight is far from over. The tension peaks when, after a tense standoff, the police department is forced to release James. It's a stunning victory, but the real battle is just beginning. The case goes to trial, and the courtroom is filled with emotion as both sides present their arguments. As James takes the stand, his voice is unwavering. "I didn't do anything wrong," he says. "But I'm not going to let this happen to anyone else." In an unexpected turn, Officer Carter is charged with misconduct, and the case against James is dropped. The victory is bittersweet, as the damage caused by years of racial profiling and systemic injustice can't be undone in one court ruling. But for James, this moment is personal. He's not just fighting for himself, he's fighting for everyone who's ever been wronged by the system. As the dust settles, James reflects on the journey that got him here. His life was forever changed by that moment on the street, but it also sparked something greater. A call for justice, a demand for change. The victory is important, but the fight isn't over. For James, it's a reminder that standing up against injustice is never easy, but it's always worth it. As we conclude this story, remember this: it's not just about one person or one encounter. It's about the collective power we have to fight for justice, to demand accountability, and to make sure that no one is ever unjustly treated again. The power of standing up, speaking out, and fighting back is real. And it's a power that we all possess.